to acknowledge the meeting of territories that we cover and so people as well as our community. Also thank our trustees and students who participated in the Indigenous Veterans Memorial Shows as well as our other two ceremonies in the communities yesterday. One change to the agenda for you to approve, removing 11A student trustee reports to just under approval of the agenda, which will allow them to get to their meeting as well.
So moved. Second.
No one opposed, so with that, we will move to our trustee reports.
No pressure.
It's okay. So,
I don't know exactly what the question was, but I have mine.
Oh, sorry. Can everyone hear me?
yeah,
I was just trying to unmute myself. So it's nice to see everyone this evening, and thank you, student trustees. I know you just participated in the Remembrance Day ceremony, and there was some conversation, and there was actually a lovely post on Facebook on how appreciated your presence was there and how meaningful it was. And I'm just wondering if you can talk about, so Remembrance Day ceremonies, they invite us to pause and think about service, sacrifice, and the responsibilities we carry as citizens. These ceremonies encourage us to think about the values that have shaped our communities and how students might connect those lessons to the world they're growing up in now. As you reflect on your experience in attending the Remembrance Day ceremony, and thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to do that, we'd like to hear your thoughts on how the idea of service connects to learning and leadership in your schools.
Service connects to learning and leadership in our schools because the soldiers who fought in the war were not fighting for no reason. They were fighting for a better life for all Canadian citizens. They lived and died through agonizing environments, and it is up to us to make that not in vain. In school, we think we only learn about subjects, but we also learn from interacting with other people in the schools. We learn how to be kind to others, how to communicate better, how to own up to mistakes and try and fix it, how to help others who are struggling, and we learn how to have responsibilities, all of which each and every one of us needs if we want to be our best selves. This is what the soldiers fought and died for, and us as student trustees are lucky to have opportunities to serve our town, our school.
Well said. Thank you.
Well said.
Attending the Remembrance Day ceremony reminded me of the importance of gratitude, reflection, and the sacrifices made by those who served to protect the freedom we enjoy today. The idea of service connects closely to learning and leadership because it requires selflessness, courage, and compassion to make a big difference. As part of student trustee, student council, and as a senior student, we demonstrate service at school by supporting and representing our peers, organize events like spirit weeks, gym rides, and fundraisers, and we listen to their concerns and suggestions on how we can promote inclusivity and school spirit. Though our impact is small and only school-wide, it reflects the same values of courage and compassion that we honor on Remembrance Day. Every small act of service within our school can inspire others to further build a foundation for future students to continue to model selflessness, courage, and compassion. Right?
Thank you very much.
Good question to get to.
Yeah.
Say thank you very much, everyone, and hit the road.
Thank you guys.
Good luck in your planning.
Yes.
have fun.
Hey, Brad, honey, and great job yesterday.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Well done, guys.
Yeah.
So great.
Minutes of the open meeting held October 8th. By trustee Chenoweth, seconded by trustee Rayner. Any errors or omissions, trustee Reyes?
I think it's Leon.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, you also have your report of the closed meeting for October 8th. Information, and that brings us to the piece of education, early learning childcare update.
So Adrienne is off to her 3rd month in her new role. And at our October PD day, our EAs participated in crisis prevention intervention training, or CPI. We've been without an instructor in the last year, so we're excited that we have this back in place. It helps provide skills around de-escalating challenging situations while emphasizing care, dignity, and respect for all students. So it's a really great program that helps our EAs be supported in their roles. We'll be running a 2nd session in February at our PD day.
Courtney,
Yeah.
is that just because you can't get everybody in one spot, one time?
Yeah, so we can only take up to 40 in each training session. So we've divided it into 2. So they either attend in October or they attend in February.
Thank you.
Other questions for the superintendent?
I just wanted to note that provincial Safer Schools Together meeting, I just want to put my hands up. I know these are difficult conversations, but they're so important around sex trafficking in schools, looking at ways the digital communications and the digital communities that are building incredible momentum right now. Just strategies for families and students to kind of understand their participation in that digital citizenship. I wish that was happening for my daughter, and it was only 10 years ago that they were in school. So I just hands up to your team, Bart, and thank you very much. It's really, really big deal. I know a lot of parents are struggling on how to understand this very, very challenging world online.
And part of the change is in the past, people had to physically be in your space, to access your children. And, what we've seen is sexual exploitation and trafficking has exploded since COVID. When everyone was online, everyone had devices. But as soon as you are connected to that World Wide Web, worldwide people have access to you. And I think it's a little bit eye-opening. That Safer Schools PD that Misty and Adrienne attended, I think really highlights the issue. And it's not just something you can ignore. You actually have to be proactive around this. So real credit. Adrienne has really embraced it, of looking at what can we do to support our students and especially our parents.
You might want to, or through our contact with BCSD or through the ministry, I noticed the Scandinavian countries are now bringing forward legislation that I think it's anyone under 15 does not have access because of the harm they've seen in the country. So it might be something to look at and say, maybe not that model, but is that an area to for social emotional development that because they seem to be keen on that right now with legislation.
Also, just sort of the points around sharing, if we can share some of this with our PACs, if we can share any resources online, I'm not too sure where we're going with this incredibly important, and it's just so on key with what parents that in my communities are really concerned about, and they don't know where to get reputable information. It sounds like you guys are at the lead of this, so thanks so much.
That's a good point, Leah, because the information is sometimes being shared out district-wide through our emailing systems, but I will also make sure that Adrienne is sending that out to trustees to share at PACs and with principals as well. You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's add it to the DPAC agenda.
Great
Okay.
idea.
The next piece is the Indigenous education update.
So our October PD day, Angela and her team organized a culture camp at Coldwater This is some of the best PD we do as a district. It gives us an opportunity to go out and learn from our local First Nations. We had good attendance from cross-section of both support staff and teachers, as well as senior admin. It's a nice day to spend. We toured their school. We learned about different things that they're doing around their language program. We went to the pit house and learned about the cultural pieces. We heard from elders. On the whole, it was just a lovely day of coming together and learning. So Angela and her team did an amazing job putting that together. I'm going to talk about the youth conference later on when I do my superintendent's report.
I got a question. Yes. Courtney,
Yeah.
what's the participation for like that cold water day?
We had just under 20. I think it was about 17 in the end.
Thank you.
And we normally get pretty good attendance. I went to the one in Shakin last year and we had around the same number. So it's nice to see our staff coming out and learning about our local First Nations.
It might be something for us to talk with our PACs about where they have our board of schools on reserve to actually hold one of their PAC meetings of the year. I think that could be beneficial. That's probably something we might want to bring up at the DPAC or with the PACs to talk about that. Getting it in town can sometimes be a barrier. Superintendent's report, I think everyone has it now.
Okay, so as you will see, it continues to grow, which is something that we really love to
That's
see.
taller.
It's we actually ran out of yellow toner to print it off, so that made me smile a little bit. It's a great opportunity to see the really good things going on in our schools. All of our schools engaged in a Remembrance Day service. We always make sure that we also recognize our Indigenous veterans, which for too long probably didn't get the recognition that they needed. So we make sure that is part of our ceremonies. When we look at JA, there's lots going on there, but the one I wanted to highlight was their Harvest Fest. It's always a great day, and Misty was actually able to attend this one. You know, the kids have an amazing time, you know, that connection with the earth, the land-based learning, you know, great participation, and the kids are just so excited about learning in general. It's a really nice event that's held annually at JA, one of the highlights of the year. When we're looking at Nicola Canford, the one that I chose to highlight, because there's always things going on at Nicola Canford. You're going to see lots of Halloween pictures this year, just about all of them included it. One of the things that we're trying to work on is more student voice and student-led activities. And their student council wanted to do a K-7 Halloween dance. So they ended up help planning that, and it was a great success. When we look at Bench, they are known for their literacy program, and they have it up and running with volunteers that come in and support. And we've seen a difference in our literacy rates with that adult participation. CLC, and I have to give credit to Allison, she does a really great job of sharing what's going on with CLC. And they actually did a field trip out to Desert Hills. So, you know, connecting with the land, you know, seeing how crops are planted and developed. And if you haven't been out to Desert Hills, I'd recommend it. It's a great place to visit. And you know what? I think it's expanding some of the horizons of our kids because they may not have been out there prior to that trip. Skides is off and running. And the thing that I would highlight is we have over 1,500 online students. So most of our students at Skides are not what we would call school of record students, which means they would take all 8 classes from us or take their full schooling from us. Most of them are actually taking somewhere between 1 to 7 classes. That's how we end up with such a high number of individual students. We saw exponential growth in the summer for our summer program and increase in our completion rate. And we've continued to experience high enrollment at Skies as the year has gone along. So credit to them and the work that we're doing. So students and parents are choosing Skies and they have choice. There's 16 other schools in the province. So our staff and our principal are working hard to bring people in. When we look at Merritt Central, there's always a ton of wonderful things going on there. Had a really successful book fair. But the one I wanted to highlight was the Diwali celebration. And Miss Preet took the lead on organizing that and, you know, just enriching the cultural diversity of our schools. And Central is one of the best schools that you will walk into. You know, they have a lovely culture with their staff. They have a strong administrator, and they have really great kids that like to be active and part of it. So there's a lot of really wonderful things going on there. PSS, known for their sports. The one that I was going to highlight is the girls went to the Ghost Blockers tournament for volleyball. And it's just nice to see that, you know, we have staff that give time to support that, parents that give time to drive the kids to the tournament, and just the ability to participate in school sports. Research would tell us that kids that are involved are more likely to complete and to feel a part of something, which helps with our results for feeling welcome in the building. And then when we get to MSS, the one I'm going to highlight is the grade 9 student leadership conference. This year, we decided to combine both MSS and PSS because it's nice when we have opportunities to come together. We did that last year with the winter celebration, and we find that it's really nice when we can bring both sides of the district together. It was on the theme of embracing change, and it was hosted and led by our Indigenous student advocates who really put together a worthwhile day for our kids. So as you can see, there is a lot going on in our schools. I don't want to steal people's thunder, so I've just gone to highlighting 1 or 2 events. But it's getting longer and longer, which is a lovely problem to have. Oh, and for Collettville, I was going to highlight the Remembrance Day ceremony. They did a really nice job having students be their MC. And it was really a touching way that they had put it together. And then if we scroll up to Diamondville, I was going to highlight their Halloween spirit. So if you keep scrolling, you'll see the picture of staff and students there. It's great to see their whole school to come together, and they have very high participation on their spirit and their special days. Diamondville has started off the year very well. You know, we have strength in a consistent administrator, as Becky was able to go back and be the administrator there this year. But their staff does a good job of coming together and making events successful for the kids.
BFE,
Oh, did I miss VFE?
they're right at the very, on our.
At the very end. Okay. So for VFE, the one that I liked was their school spirit. The staff actually did a secret spirit week. So they didn't tell the kids it was coming, but they either dressed alike or did an activity together to see if the kids could guess what it is. So the picture they have is anything but a cup day showing there, but I'm sure you've heard the catchphrase 6-7, 6-7. The most exciting day was when the teachers all dressed up as 6-7, which I'm sure they hear multiple times a day. But it was a nice way of bringing that community together. Mr. Van Jenny is doing a really good job. You know, VFE had a tough year, you know, with changes in administration and other pieces. They have really started off the year well and gelled as a school. So it's nice to see those pieces.
What a report, Cory. Great job.
And a thank you goes out to Simone, who formats all of this and helps our principals out as well. But honestly, the superintendent's report is one of the highlights of my month, because I get to see all of those events that are going on in our schools. And honestly, even though it gets longer, that's the tip of the iceberg of what's going on in our schools. There's wonderful things going on every day, and we're really thankful for what our admin and our staff do.
You'll have Simone send out the digital copy.
Yeah, I'll have her send out a digital copy.
Next item is the potential school closure community consultations updates.
So we have completed 8 community consultations to date. The summaries for those meetings have gone up on our website. It's under the potential school closure webpage. We have 3 more scheduled. So we have one next Tuesday at Upper Nicola. We have one December 1st for Princeton, and we're just combining all 3 schools. It'll be hosted at PSS. And then we're meeting with New Wyage and Shakin out at New Wyage, and it's December 3rd. So we will be done our first round of consultation. Jane, who's working with us on this, tries to get those summaries up as soon as possible. And I just want to commend her, because we had 6 back-to-back meetings and she got those summaries done very quickly. We're working on another question and answer document based on the questions and things that we were asked at community consultation meetings. Some of it we have to go back and pull some data, so it takes a little bit of time to put it together, but we're aiming to have the Q&A out end of November at the latest, and we're working to get it out as soon as we can. When we looked at attendance for our consultations, we had the strongest turnout at Central, Collettville, and Coldwater. And then we saw smaller groups at Nicola Canford, Bench, Diamondville, and Lower Nicola, and MSS. Whether it was a big or a small group, there was value in getting feedback from those stakeholders. We followed a table discussion model to make sure that we were able to hear from as many voices as possible, and that was how we were gathering data. We're working on building our consultation schedule for January and February. As soon as we have that and we're able to confirm locations, we'll get that published to our website as well. When I look at the questions for the meeting, I just pulled some ones that were relatively common or that we saw across most of the consultations. So why was it Central and Collettville chosen? What is the cost of deferred maintenance at each school, not just Central and Collettville? We're working on that right now. How did we get to this point financially? So we've discussed our budget consultation and our need for cuts. And then they have questions about the how. So if a school does close, what does it look like in terms of a student population moving? So if it was French immersion, what happens with the signage? You know, what happens with the classroom resources, the playground equipment, and how would we prep students for the move? You know, unfortunately, as a district, we have experience with moving large numbers of students, because when we were ravaged by the flood, we had to move schools because Diamondville, Central, and MSS were getting rehabbed. So we have some experience around those pieces. We've been asked how many kids are out of their current catchment. We're working on a map to distribute the students and show that. We were asked why we didn't cut at district office, and I've explained that we actually have cut at district office. Our administration is actually smaller than it was when I came. They asked who would be principal of a combined school. They're very attached to their administrators, and they wanted to know how that works. They wanted to know what happens to existing staff if it closes. Students are most concerned about being with their friends or their, what they would consider their school family. And we did provide 3 scenarios of what it could potentially look like if a school was to close. We got questions around why were they chosen. They were chosen as a talking point to start off with, and we've been given different ideas as we've gone out. And and why was it a table discussion, not general questions? Well, and what we learned from one of our meetings is, you know, there are people that are more comfortable speaking out at a meeting, and those people that are quiet voices aren't always given the same opportunity, or they don't feel comfortable bringing it forward. It was also an opportunity for both trustees and senior staff to meet with a smaller group and hear what they were saying. As we move forward, we're looking at a data analysis for December, and we'll have a thematic report published before we leave for the break. We're in the process of releasing the summary reports. All the ones that have been done to date are up there. We're looking at our schedule for January and February. We are scheduled to make a decision in March about a school closure, because we would need to know in time when we're making our budget. And then the budget consultation or budget decisions would be April 2026. So it was a lot of work with back-to-back meetings. Appreciate the time that both senior staff and trustees spent coming out to support this. And we were able to hear a lot of good feedback and what's on people's minds and what more information that they need. And we're working to provide that as we go forward.
Leah and then Justin.
I just don't wanna, you know, miss out all of the brave parents who set up like hard things and had really big hearts around the enormity of what this could look like for the communities. And so, yeah, I saw a lot of really awesome parents just trying to figure out how are we gonna do this together. So yeah, just shout out to parents.
Justin.
I just wanted to clarify, Courtney, you listed off some questions that you didn't have answers for. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that those will guide the Q&A that we're developing, that you're hoping to get up by the end of November, right?
Yes, so those questions will be in there. So we're just working our way through it. I have 3 pages back to back of questions, so it's just going to take me a little time to be able to answer all of them.
And Trustee Chenoweth.
Sure, thanks. Hey, Courtney, on the timeline of process, third bullet down, secondary community consultation on all 3 processes. Are those the 3 scenarios?
No, the scenarios were different. So the scenarios were if Collettville was to close and move to Diamondville, you know, what would be the pros and cons? The second one, if Central was to close and French Immersion moved from its current location at Collettville to Diamondville, and Central moved over to the Collettville building was another one. And then the last one was if Central was to close, what are the pros and cons of splitting the students up between the other elementary schools in Merritt? Those were the 3.
I think to answer your question, John, if you go up one bullet, there's school closure, strategic plan, and budget secondary. Those are the 3 processes that board's referring to.
Thank you.
And just for where we've got secondary community consultation, it says winter 2026. I think it's safe to say that'll be mainly January of 2026 now that we've started to look at dates for people's calendars. The other one is just to remind people as we go through the process and the emotional part, it's not a comfortable place for trustees either. It's not something we would much prefer to be opening schools or looking at opening schools. We had increase in population. I think in some of the comments I've heard about more dollars, just ask government for more dollars. We're funded on how many people we have in seats, which is the fiscal reality we have. I've had some people say, well, just do like the federal and provincial government to just do a deficit. Legally, we can't do that. So I think trustees are looking at doing the best they can in a declining enrollment bad situation, but it's certainly not an enjoyable spot for anyone to be, but there's a fiscal reality that we're trying to work through. So I appreciate everyone's time and listening to the communities, because there's a lot tied to all those schools. And as we heard today, all the great things that are happening in those schools, you can see why there's concern about school X or school Y. Trustee Kent Laidlaw.
So Cory, I'm not sure if you can answer this at this point in time yet. But one of the questions that I think we all saw quite a lot is, you know, if there's changes to schools, or are there gonna be changes to boundaries and catchment areas, will we have that? Even just sort of a broad idea of what that would look like moving into these secondary consultations so that we, you know, have that information for parents, or is that something that would be decided down the road?
So we have a potential catchment if Central was to close, of what the boundaries would look like. So Daryl and Melissa have created that. Collettville doesn't actually have a catchment because it's a program of choice. So if Collettville was to close, it doesn't actually change our catchment areas because they come from all across Merritt. The other thing, and we've explained this, is we actually have a lot of kids that are out of catchment attending our schools right now. Because we have so much nominal space in the past, as long as it doesn't put us into remedy or over our class size or composition, people have been allowed to transfer or stay within that school. If a school is to close going forward, that means that we would have less room for that going as we move ahead. I was only able to approve 2 transfers this year of the 7 requests that I had because it was going to push us over class size and composition. So we typically have a lot of in-district movement over the year, but we're seeing a different trend this year. What we've seen in the past is our students would move to a different location in Merritt particularly, and they would change schools so that it was closer to where they lived. What we're seeing this year is people are fully leaving the community, you know, and we're seeing others come in, and it's almost balancing out. The number out is equaling the number in, but the change is it's not so much in migration, it's out migration in the district, which is an interesting trend, because I would say our in district transfers are the highest I've ever seen of any of the districts that I've worked for. So it's something that sets us apart and makes us a little bit unique.
The population drop this year was 53 or 55 students
49 is where we ended up.
on top of the 40 something from the previous year.
Yeah.
And the 540 over the last 10.
2020.
Last 20. Yeah. You know, I think you made a good point, Gordon. Like, this isn't an easy process for any of us. None of us want to close a school. You know, we would rather have our schools be overflowing so that we can ask for another building. Unfortunately, we're in the position where that's not our reality, and we have to figure out, what does this look like going forward? And there's no easy answer, easy solution, because there's consequences and fallout from whatever decision is made. So it's a very hard place to be as a trustee, and it's a hard place to be as a parent. You know, we're doing our best to hear what everyone is saying, and you know what, they've come up with some different ideas of what it could potentially look like, which has been helpful. And they were able to ask some of the questions that, you know, we didn't necessarily anticipate. You know, even though we provided a lot of information as background in our presentation, there's still some additional data that they needed. So we appreciate those questions coming forward.
And just a reminder to people who are watching, on the front page of our website, it's there in bold, so they can just click on it, one click to find the reviews that have gone on to date. And just a reminder too, when we talk about Collettville, we're talking about a physical building. We're not talking about the French immersion program. I often see the two get confused that we're closing the program, and we're talking about facility and moving the program intact, if in fact that was the decision of the board. Any other questions for superintendent? A quarterly report.
Okay, thank you. So before you is the Q1 or September 30th quarter end report. And main focus of reporting this is to highlight any major deviations or departures that we've been experiencing from our budget, or if we're noticing any trending away from the budget. As you know, with September, we're 3 months into the operating year or 1 month into the school year, so it's kind of challenging to notice any trends. But as major events come up or major expenses or revenue comes in, of course, we would want to report that to you. This time, there is nothing significant of that nature, other than just some salary adjustments that we're having. And so if you look sort of the first column to the right of the remaining balance, where we have the percentages, that's the percentage used to date for 10-month expenses, like our 10-month employee salaries. At the end of September, you should expect that number to be around 10%. So you see with the teachers, we're right at the 10% mark. Principals were a little bit lower than what we would be for a 12-month position, which would be 25%. Support staff is, unfortunately, it's a mixture of 10 and 12-month positions. So you're going to have that variance sit between 10 and 25%. So again, measured, looking the trend from last year to this year, looks like we're pretty much on track. Our education assistants are again on track. September is sort of a startup, so it tends to be we don't have all the A's in place yet, so that number is probably lower than 10% expected. Other professionals on track, and then we get to our replacement staff, and that one's something to keep an eye on. Of course, we're always concerned about the number of replacements. If we have long-term leaves and sicknesses, that expense can spike quite quickly, and so budgeting for that can be challenging. This year it looks like we're under where we were last year, but when we dug into that a little bit, we discovered what's actually happened with that 6% of budget to date is that our budget this year is quite a bit more than what we had last year. So that $964,000 of placement TOC expense in the budget is quite large, quite a bit larger than what we had last year, making the percentages to date smaller than what we had last year. So it's something we'll look at as we go forward and look at the amended budget, whether we need to modify that number, but that's just an explanation of why it's gone down this year. And then the replacement QP staffing, that has gone down because a number of our positions, like our custodians, have moved from 12 months to 10 months. So the chance for replacement staff has been less this year, which we would expect out of over expense. When it comes to supplies and services, that's a little bit more tricky. At this point, without knowing a lot of the details of what's going on there, I can say that nothing significant has come to my attention. And we'll be looking at trends over the next few months. Of course, timing has a lot to do with things, and one thing that jumps out is our insurance. So our insurance looks like it's dropped, but that is most likely a time when we pay our insurance expense, which the majority of it gets paid through the ministry because we self-insure for a lot of our property insurance. So it's the time when that expense comes to. Without the risk of over-promising and under-delivering, my hope is that coming into the next quarterly report, which will be December 31st and going forward, that I'll want to start modifying this report to include a projection to year end, because that really tells the story of, okay, this is fine as a snapshot at this month in time or this quarter in time, but really we want to see where are we going to end the year. Are we going to be on budget, way over budget, way under budget? So my hope is that start using these reports to do that.
Thank you. Should share the secretary treasurer. Thank you, Mark. Policy for approval. You have Third reading of 3.42, selection of learning resources. Your lips are moving, but there's no sound.
So this is the policy that's required by the ministry. We were remiss in not already having it, so we're just working our way through our third reading. We've already drafted the admin procedures, and that came up at our last board meeting. So this is just the third reading so that we have it in policy as we're required to.
Did we have any feedback for the second reading?
No.
So. Looking for a motion for third and final reading for approval, moved by trustee Ward, seconded by trustee Jepson. Any questions? Anyone opposed? It is carried. And thank you for the work on that and for catching that. How did you miss that one? Nothing under correspondence that I'm aware of. Done the student report, so I will start to SD58 with our trustee reports.
Great, so we had our second PAC meeting for PSS. It was pretty smooth, everything, you've got the new president in place, the new secretaries are in place, and so mostly we just talked a little bit about fundraising, making sure that there wasn't, I guess, you know, what kinds of fundraising grad class is doing. They're going to be doing car washes, meat sales, firewood candles. Just so that if as a PAC we do any fundraising, that there's no crossover, we're not stepping on anyone's toes. The principal there is settling into her role really well. She's doing a fantastic job, and one of the things that's changing this year for all of the schools, I believe, is early dismissal this year for parent-teacher meetings. Was quite a bit earlier. The kids got out, I think, around noon rather than at 2, so they sort of tried a different format. Again, I'll just plug the PSS open house, which is on November 19th from 5 to 7. There will be food. You can come and visit if you'd like. It's also going to include student-led conferences, and the parents can schedule meetings if they want to speak specifically to a teacher, and so we sort of meet the teacher type things. They're doing youth leadership conference in November. All grades are going to be involved. Unfortunately, don't have to be for that one, but that is happening. As we saw in the superintendent's report, the volleyball team's done really well this year. It's kind of moving into basketball season now, so the kids are really excited about that. And you know, the Halloween was always a big event at PSS, and they had the gym riot and that sort of thing. So yeah, it was a pretty smooth start to the year, and the kids are enjoying it.
Sure. So Paulaville, mainly a lot of talk on the fundraising. They do a lot of fundraising there. But about over 13 items that they're working on as a package.
Awesome.
I'm very busy. They did talk about trying to get parents to attend the October 28th engagement meeting with school closures. Well, they're not just planning for their French trip in February, and then a lot of the pool activities that the principal shared. One significant note that they voted against becoming a member of BCC PAC. So I don't know how many other PACs do that. I'm curious.
I think the DPAC joined, but like last year, none of them joined BCC back because it's in a bit of crisis with no executive, and
Right.
they were feeling their voices weren't being heard. So I think all of them last year for sure weren't members.
Maybe more of a whole PAC-wide protest against.
Yeah, and it was provincially, it wasn't just our district.
A lot of non-confidence.
Okay. Then that's it in our other PACs tonight, so.
Me, Central, I had missed, last minute, I think it was last night, the night before. And I haven't got minutes yet, so I can't update on that one yet. But, Downville was a few weeks ago or last week. And they have a very strong pack this year. They are, not only filling all their goals, they have some people in the fundraising, which they haven't done in years. They were able to successfully, sponsor the grade 7 hoodies, which just came in. So grade 7s have their graduation hoodies of the year, which is nice. Lots of times they don't get them until later in the year, but now we get a chance to wear them for the year. Yeah, so Downville's track pack is it's very strong this year, and they're excited. I think they started making popcorn on some Fridays of the fundraiser, which is hitting kids. And they're looking forward to some planned theme days and activities for their Christmas concerts coming up in December.
So John Allison, as you saw, this quick, amount of action going on at that school. They had to move the pack from today to, or yesterday to 4,000 in May, but I know the pack is very involved. They've got a ton of fundraisers going. They're very organized, and they organized the Halloween dance that we just had, which was a big success, and it was helped out by the Princeton Posse players, which a big shout out to them for helping out. That's it.
Great, thank you. And
I have to follow trustee Ward.
oh, it's all right, it's all right. I just have these incredible minutes and a principal's report because their inspired trustee had to miss first ever PAC meeting with my whole long time survey. He didn't make it. So AGM, they had their AGM, they have a new president, they have a new vice president, and Treasurer Wolbeck is pulled the report down and is in charge of some funding as well. Mr. Rogers stayed on as secretary. They gave a financial overview. They have a very strong pack and lots of fundraising as well. So their checking is healthy, and they have plans for spending that out. They did renew their BCC PAC membership, so that maybe there's a turn of the tide. And then Mr. Van G. Pete, so full of awesome energy, and you can just see it in the picture of Courtney's report, sort of leading sort of the greatness in that school. He spoke about some field trips around truth and reconciliation. They did a hike at China Ridge. And then the Terry Fox room. Meet the Teacher Night happened. 40 caregivers showed up, so that's really good. I missed it. Book fair was a massive hit as well. And PAC helped to staff their book fair. And it looks like they have $1,000 towards new books for the school. I mean, big job, amazing. So there's such a good vibe going on. Pete right now is seeking PAC feedback on possible changes to digital device policy. So they're really looking at sort of the best practices currently. And I noticed the White Hatter was on another PAC, and it was in court. I think it might have been in your report as well. And again, it comes back to Misty sharing and getting Adrienne to share some of that information around that digital literacy piece. Yeah, just I think communities are really trying hard to do what's best for kids. Community positivity. So the PAC passed a motion around purchasing a $30 gift card, and it was around a community appreciation for some of their volunteers. And Sean Sinclair was mentioned. Student supports and well-being. So lunch supervision is continuing to run smoothly. There's 146 students at PFB. So, they're constantly looking at ways to blend the hot lunch supervision, EAs, and then Pete supporting all of those. Lunch. You guys see that in here? Lunch. We've got 47 families within BFB accessing that. And I really want to tap into this piece. It's come up in September, and it's now come again October. And this PAC is really looking out for the emotional well-being of their entire school. PAC's continuing conversations around local counselor support, including options with Shauna Escape for students age 10+. So just looking at how PAC can support families and older kids. And maybe where our counseling is unable to serve some of their kids, so they're looking at what that can look like. The band program is getting ready to do their Christmas wreath sales, bake sales, raffle sales. Riverside, Community Christmas Concert, December 17th, right? Do you guys have those dates kind of rocking? So BFE's community concert, December 17th, they are just looking at their evening performance. They're looking at capacities. I think PSS has 600 fit in their school. Remembrance Day ceremonies as well. So yeah, looking forward. November 20. I'm back in the chair. I am back at PAC. Look out. Over to you.
Always enjoy the following you. So also on November 20th is open house at MSS.
Okay.
Their PAC meeting, which is normally the second Tuesday, that would have been Remembrance Day, so that has been moved to November 18th. Which is also the date of our community consultation with Upper Nicola. And Bench PAC put $300 towards Come Read With Me with Merit Literacy this year. It's good to see. And that is my report. The other one is, we had is, I believe, November 17th. It's the date set for that.
Just remind me about PAC and attendance. You're the representative, like, not anybody can just go to DPAC. I had a question.
DPAC has two representatives, they DPAC, and they provided those names to Misty, I believe. We were just going through that last week to make sure we had all the right names.
Okay,
Because each PAC has up to 2 voting members.
okay.
You're more than welcome to attend as well.
It was a thank you.
So I
And
just, you know, if you would like to attend,
Appreciate
you're
that.
more than welcome.
It was no, I heard anyone cannot, Dave. That's where I was sort of going with. And I think that needs to actually be clarified. The community member came up to me and was curious about DPAC and how to be part. I said to go to their local PAC and become a member of their PAC. And I just want to make sure I was right about that.
PAC has 2 voting members.
Okay, thank you.
But you're more than welcome to attend the DPAC meeting on November 17th, if you want to check your calendar.
Thank you. I will check my calendar.
Trustee branch meeting report. Because I was in a foreign country, and I think you were in a foreign country. So did anyone attend the branch?
We went, yeah, Jamie, John, and us.
Excellent work, you three.
We'll let you tag team it.
Well, we started with a tour of the Canals Indian Residential School. Split into 2 groups, quite a large group. That was very interesting. I think people found it very valuable to get the stories from tour guides. Then we went and had dinner.
Yep, and then a
Presentation
on AI.
AI from their district AI person.
And got a position in their district that's like developing a program that can be used in all their schools. So that's.
And a policy on AI usage. And
Yeah, how that's met. Pretty interesting.
And then for the branch meeting itself, we did some PD on essentially what a mentoring program would look like. So same sort of thing, we all split into groups and brainstormed ideas, little stickies, looking at again, what we would like to see in a mentoring program, what we think would be good formats for it. So that was really interesting. Who would be a mentor, how they, what sort of things they would be mentored.
I think you'll see a lot of it in your PD virtual one or the original.
I laid out the framework for that.
Well, you know exactly what we did then.
I know what time it is, John.
Yeah. No, it was really good.
I'm happy.
I think the next one's in 53. We're down in South Okanagan.
Correct.
Yeah.
then upcoming the end of the month is the BCSTA Academy. As well.
Very
And we follow that, it's fantastic.
Right.
So a busy November, so.
just kind of in support of our incredible team of senior leaders and staff, teachers, principals, and parents. Community consultations, 11 of them, a very robust superintendent. I really just want to put my hands up to Courtney and her team and all the trustees who were able to make that happen. Publicly, I think it's important to recognize that your trustees are just really grateful you're showing up to these meetings. It matters. And yeah, thanks, Courtney.
Yeah, just a reminder.
Thanks, Leah. I appreciate it.
And we know we've filled everyone's calendar with every week in January through round 2 and in February. So we know there's a lot of work ahead of everyone. So thank you for everyone for putting in that time for some important and hard conversations. Public question period.
So wait,
Oh,
other report.
other report. Oh, yes, you have another report.
So BCPC, they're having their 32nd annual general meeting scheduled for January 29th. It will address governance and procedural issues regarding the board of directors, which they're going to be staggered by cycle by region. So that will shift who's on that board of directors. Also the bargaining dates for BCTF coming up are November 17th, 18th, 24th, and 25th. QP's November 19th and 20th. And that's it for sort of the BCPC, and then the OLRC 25th, 26th is the final year of the strategic plan. And a survey will probably be sent out to obtain feedback for sort of a planning process. And the executive director welcomed our own Mark Friesen to.
Question,
Sure.
just for public who don't know acronyms. First one, BC, TC, go ahead and like tell the people what it means. Columbia.
So it was the Public School Employees Association and Okanagan Labor Relations Council.
So thank
Or
you,
Jennifer
trustee.
5 years.
Yeah, thank you, trustee Rayner. I know it's huge commitment, so I appreciate you. But for people watching, I know our biggest fault is we use acronyms and they're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. I noticed that there's a new one that Courtney put on, or no, it was Adrian put on. That's
Great
it.
job.
We'll get the skill testing testing.
Yeah, I should know that. So.
Well, and after 20 years, I'm no longer in conflict.
Yeah.
Now I think we're at public question period. Don't know if we have anyone online. We do have one member of the public in the audience.
Yes, no, I just want to again just thank you for welcoming me and making the space. Nice to just, yeah. It's just thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
And nothing online. I just make sure I do that pause in case because of that related. In that case, we will adjourn and then adjourn our closed meeting in about 3.5 minutes.
3.5.
Motion?
So moved, seconded by trustee Jepson, moved by trustee General. Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you, everyone.